Okay, so let's dig into this. We got some really interesting sources from you about the latest on U.S.-China trade.
Yeah, some important developments.
Absolutely. And what we want to do today is unpack what these sources are telling us, what's actually happening with the talks, and crucially, what it might mean for you here in the U.S., like right now.
Well, the main headline is this big meeting planned. A U.S. trade delegation is off to London.
London, right? And it's happening soon next week, specifically Monday, according to these sources.
A high-level group, too.
Yeah, the sources name them. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is going.
Okay.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick.
Right.
And Jameson Greer, who's the USTR, the main U.S. trail negotiator, they're meeting the Chinese side there.
And this isn't just out of the blue. The sources put this right after that first phone call we saw between President Trump and President Xi.
That's a key point. The first call since the whole trade war really flared up back in February.
And how it was announced was interesting, too, wasn't it? Trump himself put it out on Truth Social.
He did. And then, the Chinese state news agency, Xinhua, they reported on the call too, but added that detail that it was at Trump's request.
A little bit of diplomatic framing there, maybe.
Seems like it. So, okay, we have this important meeting set up, top officials right after a presidential call. But like you said, the real question, based on these sources, is what does it signal for Americans today?
Well, looking at the economic indicators you shared, there are a couple things. First, even with all the tariff talks swirling around, the U.S. jobs market has been surprisingly resilient.
Yeah, the sources highlighted that, holding up better than some expected, maybe.
Seems that way. And then came the announcement about these London talks. And Wall Street definitely reacted.
Right, and the market's often seen as a kind of barometer for how corporate America feels things are going or will go.
Exactly. The info shows the market rally really picked up speed after Trump's announcement, the S&P 500.
The big one, yeah.
It closed up 1%, got above 6,000, which is a significant level.
Yeah.
And the NASDAQ, heavy on tech stocks, that was up to about 1.2% by the end of the day.
And it wasn't just the overall market. Your sources pointed to specific examples like Tesla.
That's right. Tesla shares gained back some ground, up 3.7%. It shows how these trade signals can filter down pretty directly.
But here's where it gets complicated based on the sources you sent. This market optimism is bumping up against the recent history, right?
Absolutely. We just had the Geneva deal last month.
Yeah, where tariffs were supposed to come down 30% for the U.S. on some things, 10% for China, and commitments on minerals too.
Felt like progress then. But the sources are pretty clear that since Geneva, things really slowed down.
Stalled almost. Both sides were pointing fingers, weren't they? Accusations about not sticking to the agreement.
Right. And Trump even mentioned potentially revoking visas for Chinese students around that time, which definitely signaled things cooling off.
So you have that recent friction, that slowdown after Geneva, and yet the news of new talks sends the market rallying.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It suggests that investors are latching on to the possibility, maybe seeing it as a fresh attempt or just relief that they're talking again at all.
So pulling this together from your sources, what's the snapshot for you right now? We see the market responding positively to renewed dialogue.
And that underlying U.S. economic strength shown in the jobs figures.
But we also have the immediate history from the sources of the Geneva deal, followed by a slowdown and accusations. It shows how fragile this can be.
Exactly. The positive market vibe is based on the potential for progress in London, not on results yet. There's still uncertainty baked in from that recent past.
Right. So considering that market enthusiasm for just talking again, but also knowing from these sources how quickly things hit roadblocks last time, what questions does this raise for you about how stable this relationship really is and what the real economic impact might be down the line? Something to watch closely as they meet.